Hello friends, welcome to Notebook Video Lessons. Today, we shall discuss about the foremost important document which helps in the functioning of our country, the Constitution of India. At the end of our discussion, you will have a brief idea about the following topics. What is a constitution? How was the Indian Constitution formed? Functions of a constitution. What a constitution does for the society. How constitutions govern the allocation of power in society. What is a constitution? A constitution is a set of rules or set of documents that help to regulate a country. It is a comprehensive document which covers all the articles, amendments, and laws. How was the Indian Constitution formed? The Constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly, which had been elected for undivided India. The Constituent Assembly held its first meeting on 9th December 1946. The members of the Constituent Assembly were elected indirectly by the members' Provisional Legislative Assembly. The Constituent Assembly had 8 major committees on different subjects. These committees were headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Patel, Maulana Azad, and Ambedkar. Each of these committees drafted particular provisions of the Constitution, which were then subjected to debate by the entire Assembly. Provisions in the Indian Constitution have been borrowed from several different constitutions of countries across the world. For example, the British Constitution, the Canadian Constitution, the Irish Constitution, etc. Next, we move on to the functions of a constitution. Functions of a constitution. Constitution is an organization led by individuals to draw rules and regulations to live in the society. It helps the citizens of the country to live in coordination with each other. How is a state formed and governed? It is the Constitution which governs the state with the help of a set of principles. These principles are fundamentally designed overviewing the nature of society we live in. Who do you think has an authority to design these principles? These principles are designed by different people in different types of constitution. For example, in a monarchy, the monarch or the king has the right to decide. In a democracy like India, the common people have the right to decide through their elected representatives. The parliament, comprising of the elected people, decides on the laws and policies of the Indian government. The Indian Constitution allows this power to the Parliament. The Constitution has several other functions. Let us look at some more of these functions. The Constitution decides who will take decisions for the society. The decisions for the society as a whole should be taken keeping in view the benefits of society. The Constitution enables the government to understand the goals of the society and to bring in positive changes if required. Indian Constitution is one of the finest constitutions of the world as it has a unique clause to take measures to overcome social issues like poverty, deprivation, and inequality. Any social welfare cause undertaken by the government is for the benefit of the people and society. Now that we have studied the 4 main functions of the Indian Constitution, let us move on to the next topic. How does the Constitution affect society? Fundamental identity of the people. The Constitution expresses several identities of the people it governs. It helps to constitute one's political identity, moral identity, national identity. Our political identity is formed by agreeing to certain basic norms and principles. It develops a sense of collective identity in the people of a nation. Moral identity is derived from a person's choices or aspirations of what she or he chooses to do. The Constitution sets a few authoritative constraints upon what we may or may not do. Thus, it defines the fundamental values which we may not trespass. This way, it helps to form a moral identity. National identity is based on a variety of factors: how the constitution is formed, what is the history of the nation, and how the nation looks at their citizens. Some nations give identity on ethnic grounds. For example, German identity was constituted by being ethnically German. Thus, the relationship between the central government and the different regions of a nation constitute the national identity of a country. Thus, these three identities together make the fundamental identity of a person, which, as we can see, is directly governed by the constitution of the country. Hope you are following what we have discussed so long. Now, we move on to the next part of our discussion. Let us first discuss how the constitution came into being. Mode of promulgation, or how a constitution came into being. Who crafted the constitution? Indian constitution is the outcome of the hard work of several respected public figures. It is considered as the most successfully framed and drafted constitution which is willfully accepted by its citizens. The substantive provision of a constitution. A successful constitution gives every section of the society a reason to abide by its provisions. For example, a constitution that favors a certain section of the society over the other will not get the allegiance of the oppressed or neglected people. Balanced institutional design. A good constitution distributes power across several different fragments intelligently. If one or more small groups try to subvert or undermine the constitution, it will show loose ends of the system itself. So, to avoid this, the great minds who crafted it have intelligently divided the rights and powers of the constitution in a way in that it gets distributed in the hands of all who are part of it. Another important aspect of intelligent institutional design is that a constitution must strike the right balance between the authoritative tone and at the same time allow enough flexibility in its operations to adapt to changing needs and circumstances. Too much rigidity or flexibility will break the chain easily. So, balancing the structure by preserving core values and adapting them to new circumstances is the key. So, going back to our base point, whether constitution has authority, the answer to this question lies in these three questions. Were the people who crafted the constitution credible enough? Has constitution given some reason to people to get along with it? Can people look up to the constitution for its answers every now and then? The answer to all these questions is yes. Thus, the Constitution of India is of the people, for the people, and by the people. Summary. What is the Indian Constitution? Constitution is the document or set of documents that help to govern a country. What are its functions? To provide a set of basic rules that allow for coordination amongst members of a society. It decides how the government will be constituted, to set some limits on what a government can impose on its citizens, to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of a society and create conditions for a just society. So, this brings us to the end of the chapter. I hope you have enjoyed the video on the Indian Constitution till now. We will cover the rest of the chapter in our next video.